has been made in the desert. That's right. History's been made in the desert. Devin Booker is now the all-time leading scorer in Phoenix Suns history, surpassing Walter Davis, Sweet D, Sweetness, the Greyhound, the man with the velvet touch. He's now second place all-time. On a night full of celebration, of looking back, of remembrance, of nostalgia, as we remember 10 years of Devin Booker and the way that he has excelled himself to be the all-time leading scorer in Phoenix Suns history, we're reminded that he plays for the Phoenix Suns. Because it's on brand that on a night where a milestone occurs, the Phoenix Suns lose. And they do so at the hand of two people who were part of their organization. Toumani Camara, drafted 52nd overall in the 2023 NBA draft, never played a game for Phoenix, but lights it up against us. And Deandre Ayton, the team's former number one pick, their only number one pick that they've ever had, goes for 25 points and 20 rebounds. Matthew, it's on brand for the Suns to lose these kind of things, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And of course, they're going to want to do it when it's double overtime almost, right?
They got to make it as interesting as possible, only to rip our hearts out as Suns fan, because that's what being a Suns fan is celebrating while also crying. It's like when Sean Marion or Amari Stoudemire go into the Ring of Honor, the Suns just get decimated at the hands of the opposition. 2 consecutive losses to the Portland Trailblazers of all fucking teams. So we're going to talk about this game here on the Suns Jam Session podcast. We'll kick it off a little bit with some talk about Devin Booker and what it means for him being the all-time leading scorer and how typical it is and why this team lost again tonight. So welcome, everybody, to the Suns Jam Session podcast. My name is John Voigt, managing editor of BrightsideOfTheSun.com. I'm joined, as per usual, by my podcasting partner, Matthew Lissy, one of our senior staff writers at Brightside of the Sun as well. And make sure you subscribe, rate, review, or don't. I don't know what to do about this Suns team. You know, I had a friend ask me tonight. He's like, are you in what was the exact phrase? I'm going to actually look it up because it's something we all have to ask ourselves. No, he goes, are you reaching the I'm done with this team this season status? And we'll ask that question right after the break.
Session podcast, shooting the shit about the Suns since 2019.
And the Phoenix Suns lose tonight in overtime, 121-119 against the Portland Trailblazers, a team that entered 20-29, and they were 19-29 when we made our trip up to Portland. We hand them 2 losses. Granted, they're one of the most hot teams. They're one of the hottest teams in the NBA, so you have to give them credit in that capacity. But it was a clinic from Saturday through Monday on what is wrong with the Suns, which brings me to my first question.
Matthew, I've got to ask.
Matthew, I have to ask, and every Suns fan who is watching this podcast right now or listening to it later, have you reached the I'm done with this team this season status after a loss tonight against Portland?
It's kind of tough because I do think that the Portland Trailblazers are really kind of streaking. Hold on, I'm not going. All right, can you still hear me right now? Am I good? Okay, cool. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they're kind of streaking, and I think that the fact that the Suns kind of put up a fight shows a little bit. So there's 2 ways to kind of think about it. I think, the Suns team obviously might not be the same in a couple days, so they're kind of playing it out, and they're playing against a Trailblazers team that these guys might be showcasing. They might be showcasing their skills, maybe getting traded away, but now they're 8-1 in their last 9 games. So it's like, do they really want to trade any of these guys? But on the Suns side of things, it's tough to kind of give up on this team because they have been fighting the last 4 or 5 games. But in games like this, when it's hard to beat a team twice in a row in the season, like I don't feel like it ever happens. It's hard to win, even if the team sucks. Like we used to play the Spurs back to back all the time, it would always lose the one game. So the fact that the Suns just could not pull one of these games out, that is brutal. It was a well fought game, but you can just see how they fall short just due to like lack of making the wide open threes or grabbing the rebound in the end. So it's frustrating. I don't think I've given up yet. I just want to see kind of what happens in the next few days.
Yeah, I have my thoughts on the rebounding at the very end, which is just so poetic for the Suns to end up losing because they can't grab a fucking board when the center of the opposing team is shooting the free throw, right? It's not like
Yeah.
DeAndre Ayton was on the block battling them out for rebounds. No, he's the guy who's shooting the free throws, and you can't grab a rebound like 3 different times. But
I
I'm
know.
with you. I'm not at the point where I'm done with this team right now. And I don't know what it would really take for me to be done with this team this season. There's going to be a point where there will be a white flag. And I do fear that. And it might be something that happens before the playoffs even happen. I mean, that's reality with this Suns team. Now that they are, 25 and 24 now? I mean, they are just teetering as a 500 team. We've definitely gone on and on about the struggles that this team has, how they're playing relative to expectation, the lack of hope that lies before this franchise because of some of the decisions that have been made in the past. But at the same time, they still have parts that are salvageable. And I understand that there's a lot of frustration losing back-to-back games against Portland. I think that it's a challenge for Suns fans to kind of keep their head up during this time of Suns fandom when you have Devin Booker becoming your all-time leading scorer, just a nostalgic moment. And at the same time, you're losing consecutive games to Portland. It feels like the team doesn't have an identity. It feels like they have no direction. It feels like they're not making any of the right moves. They're getting out-hustled. Every opposing team appears to be more athletic. And guess what? We play the Thunder on Wednesday. It's not going to get any better from here. But with the trade deadline upcoming, there's still a potential push. I feel like there's just one final push that this Suns team can make that can ultimately land them somewhere, in the playoffs because, they're still not too far out of even being the 6th seed. They're going to have to fight for it, and you have to win games like this if you want to get there. But I'm just not at that point yet where I've mailed it in on this season. Call me in like 3 weeks, like after the All-Star break, when March begins, because when March hits, you really start to go, okay, we are who we are. We're post-deadline. We've retooled as much as we can because Phoenix is going to try with all their might to be buyers. And from there, you can start to really, internally go, I'm waving the white flag on this team. We're fucked, or we're going to go, you know what? Maybe we have a chance because we do have elite scorers on this team.
Yeah, we'll find out. I feel like by Thursday too. I feel like the earliest. The way things are going, there's a lot of rumors on Twitter about Kevin Durant even being seeked out by the Golden State Warriors. It's been off and on. It seems like all day. Obviously, the Warriors are calling about every superstar out there. But if the Suns end up, just thinking like there's no way it's salvageable if they can't get Jimmy Butler because obviously Bradley Beal doesn't want to go. He doesn't want to leave. Then you kind of think about, all right, well, maybe we kind of get whatever we can for Kevin Durant. So, if the Suns end up going either way, I'm okay with it because I feel like we're just mediocre right now. We can't pull out these games against Trailblazers. I know they're obviously on a streak, but still, like these are games that you have to win and get the team right, and especially a big night with Devin Booker becoming the all-time leading scorer. So it's kind of hard to enjoy at times. It is a little emotional when it does happen, but it's hard to enjoy in a season like itself right now.
Yeah, it definitely sucks the enjoyment out of it because think of, Friday night when we beat the Warriors and how good it feels to win. But we know that you can't even enjoy that moment for more than 24 hours because this team will, and that's a 500 team. I mean, that's what they do is they're up, they're down, they're up, they're down. Yep. And this team just has not had the ability to put like a 7-game win streak together because you put a 7-game win streak together and you're feeling a lot better about your team. Just look at Portland. That team was what? 10 and like 28, and now they're 20 and 29. So I mean, the Suns the challenge, obviously, for the Suns is the fact that they do have the hardest remaining schedule in the NBA, amongst other things, amongst roster construction errors, amongst coaching errors, amongst trade rumors and poor roster construction. And the doomsday scenario, we're on the precipice of that. And I think that perhaps this is us smiling foolishly, perhaps, and we might look back on February 3rd and kind of go, man, I wish I had some of the optimism that guy had that day as the Titanic started to sink, and we just kind of sit there and like, yeah, Matthew, we'll get on a lifeboat, everything's going to be okay, just to realize that we're neither a woman or a child and there's not enough lifeboats, and slowly the Titanic will sink and we're going to go down with it, and there's going to be a moment right before it goes down, we're like, fuck, man, this water's cold, damn, we should fucking lifeboats.
Well, I mean, I can probably pull off a little tight dress and get on a boat. I bet you I can do that, right?
Not with that hair.
I can definitely make it on a boat.
Not with that hair.
Well, I can pull off
what's a 6'4" woman doing on the boat with no hair?
Yeah, I'll just say I'm a supermodel, right? I'm a plus size supermodel.
She's got a scraggly goatee.
Back in the day, that's all there was, plus size supermodels. I'm gonna say though, following up on that, just the fact that it's kind of like you just want to just give it up. And I think that's where I'm at, where, I'm not giving up on the season, but I am kind of giving up on like, hey, if KD does end up getting traded or something does happen that drastic, like I'm okay with it because I just feel like they kind of push it to its limits. And, the whole Jimmy Butler thing too, man, if he does come here, it's a good sign for this team to actually kind of push towards the playoffs. But I'm really focused on what's going around the rest of the West, right? I mean, it's going to be really difficult. Even with the Spurs getting Fox, that team's going to push to the playoffs. They kept all their young guys. So there's a lot going on around us, and it's just impossible not to look at that as it's going on, and just realizing like we definitely do not have enough, and we're playing like he said, like against DeAndre Ayton and Tamani Kamara, who is a guy that everyone loves now. Obviously, he's turned out to be brilliant defensively and hitting threes in our face tonight. So it's difficult to see that. Like it's we are falling down with the ship. We're sinking with the ship, and it's going to be hard to do so, but it's something that we all have to do maybe eventually in the next week or so.
Well, I definitely want to talk about Kevin Durant, his performance tonight, and the possibility of potentially trading him. But I wouldn't be doing justice to the man, the myth, the legend, Devin Armani Booker, for the feat that he accomplished tonight, unless we talked about that first.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. My name is
Big Dick Booker.
Devin Booker goes off tonight. 34 points for the Phoenix Suns on 9 of 18 shooting, 3 of 8 from beyond the arc, 13 of 14 from the free throw line. We needed 14 of 14 to push us to a second overtime. Had 4 assists, had 3 rebounds, and surpassed Walter Davis all time on the Suns scoring list. That moment right there, that statement right there, something that has not been done in 36 years, 9 months, and 30 days. Is since the last time Walter Davis made a shot and got to 15-6-6-6. What does that mean to you, having Devin Booker surpass Walter Davis for the all-time Suns scoring record?
I can't hear anything now.
Oh, no. That was a great setup, too. Can you not hear me?
Oh, now I can.
Oh, well, what does it mean for Devin Booker's scoring?
It means a lot. I think when it actually happened, it was more emotional than I thought it would be. Leading up to the point, going through this season, going through the last couple seasons, you're kind of just dragged down by the whole thing. I like the fact that his family showed up. I like the fact that guy showed up with the Walter Davis.
Yeah,
jersey.
Rocking the jersey.
That was pretty dope for a moment like that. So it was a moment when it happened. I had to take a second. A little teary-eyed a little bit just because of the video and stuff like that, because I didn't see it yet. I think they dropped it on Twitter, but I didn't want to watch it yet. So they played it right after he made the shot.
Yeah, they showed it on the game too.
Yeah, that's when I first saw it.
Yeah.
So it was a big moment for him, and now it's like, all right, now we can get rid of him. You ready to trade him? Just joking. But maybe that's what they're waiting for. It's for him to do that and then ship him out of here. Or no.
Yeah, no, you don't. We're not fucking Nico. What's the guy? Nico Harrison, the GM of the Dallas. It's like, okay, listen, he just hit the all-time. All right, ship him out. No, I mean,
yeah,
Devin Booker coming here to Phoenix. I remember when we drafted him. I didn't think it was the greatest pick. I like that he had the potential to be Klay Thompson, because back in 2015, that's what you're looking for, right? It is a copycat league, and the Warriors were just on the precipice of really becoming who they were going to be. And a shooting guard who could shoot was something that we need. We had Eric Bledsoe on the team. I'm like, great, we got another Kentucky guy next to him. But I never thought that he would surpass Walter Davis. And I honestly thought the Walter Davis 15.666 was going to stand throughout my lifetime, because I just don't see it in the modern NBA, and you really don't see it, where guys stick at one franchise for as long as they do. And 10 years, Devin Booker has grown into an amazing scorer. He's had his ups and his downs, especially at the beginning of every season, because if you look at his splits, like he always averages like 23 points per game in the first half of the season, pre-All-Star, and then like 27 point or 28 points a game. And I know the personal ups and downs I've had with him, thinking that he was somebody who would be just not a great defender, but always a great shooter. And he's carried that for so long. And yeah, it is a little emotional having him do it and surpassing Walter Davis, because you also lose that connection to Walter Davis and the days of yore. You know, that's one major record that, you know, Walter Davis will always be number 2 at, and everyone's going to hold the glass to Devin Booker relative to if that scoring, you know, or where they stand relative to his scoring. I love that he hit it on a 3. It's a great highlight, because I was going through, I stitched together and I released on our Suns Jam Session YouTube page, and it's on all of our social media as well, the video of all the major Devin Booker milestones, his first points, his 1,000th, 2,000th, 3,000th, all the way to 15,000, to where he passed Alvin Adams to become number 2. And there's a couple times in there where he hit a milestone like 8,000 points, and he did it at the free throw line, you know, and it's like, that's kind of lame. And I thought that was going to happen tonight. And it was so nice to have him hit it. And what's funny is if you see the pose, you know, there's a great picture of him posing as he hits that 3. There's Tumani Kamara right next to him. I'm like, fuck, he could have been on our team, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it was great to see that.
When do you think they start building that statue? Probably
3 years after he retires.
3 years. Yeah, you know, I think with Devin Booker getting drafted here, everyone just kind of figured that it wasn't going to be anything special, right? But he's made this team the Suns again, right? Ever since Barkley, ever since Steve Nash. I mean, it hasn't been anything. He put us on the map. He put us on the map. I keep hearing my voice. This is tough to talk.
Oh man, sorry. Your audio.
No, it's bad. I'm trying to have a sentimental moment, but I can just hear myself talking in my ear. I'm scared to touch anything because I'm not going to be able to hear you. But I was going to say, he put us on the map again, man. We wouldn't be here doing this pod or having the success we have here with Suns Jam Session podcast without him.
Yeah,
So,
you're 100% right.
book.
And Aussie Suns fan does ask, he's like, did you just sip with your pinky up, Voida? Yeah, I'm drinking a Moscow Mule tonight, and yeah,
Oh, you are.
Delicious. Pinkies up, bitches. Pinkies up. Again, great time or a great game for Devin Booker, and not a great game for the majority of the team, it felt like. I do want to talk about Kevin Durant, because you mentioned a little bit about the trade rumor.
Yeah.
Who the heck are you?
I'm Kevin Durant. You know who I am. Y'all know who I am.
Did anybody see a sniper? Did anybody see anything?
I'm one of the best players to ever play the game.
My apologies. I didn't even look at my notes when I was talking about Booker. 2 things I had on Booker. One, his over in the first quarter was 5.5 points. I've never put so much money down on a bet in my life.
Oh, wow.
I'm like, he's going
What'd
to
you
do
win?
that easily. Enough.
$85.
Around there. Enough to where I can happily enjoy betting on the Super Bowl and
cool.
put a bunch of dumb prop bets down. But then Bud calls. Well, I'll talk about Bud later. But so Kevin Durant in this game ends with 27 points on 10 of 21 shooting, 2 of 9 from beyond the arc. Really could have used that third 3-pointer there, KD. Bet on that one too. 5 assists, 5 rebounds, 4 turnovers, 2 block shots, 1 steal. A solid game again by Kevin Durant, and the way that he makes those shots, again, I'm never gonna not be in awe of how Kevin Durant plays basketball. But obviously there's the rumors going around. And those rumors were essentially that since Luka Doncic got traded, which we'll talk about at the back end of this podcast, because I did a solo one on Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
That was half of my podcast. And we had like 1,000 people watching this thing because it happened right afterwards. So everyone's like, what does Voida think about Luka? I'm like, bullshit. But I want to hear what you have to say. But obviously with Luka being traded, it reset GM's thinking to go, you know what? I guess it doesn't hurt to pick up the phone, because that's essentially what happened between Rob Pelinka and Nico Harrison. Is it started out with a cup of coffee and Rob just being like, hey man, like, would you ever? And he goes, maybe I will. Like, that's literally what Nico Harrison said. The GM of the Dallas Mavericks said Rob Pelinka kind of mildly suggested it, and it got him thinking. And so obviously Kevin Durant is a desirable asset. And he might be the only desirable asset that we have outside of Devin Booker, who in my book is untouchable. What would it take for you to trade Kevin Durant?
So Golden State is the one team, right, that might take him away from us. And it might be better for the NBA if that were to happen. Just like the Luka thing, it's better for the NBA that he's a Laker. Kaminga and a lot of draft picks, I think I'd be okay. I think it's just because of the whole reset button that needs to happen, but also keep Booker and Beal currently on the team and still be mediocre for a little bit, but just to get those draft picks back and have a player like Kaminga back or to come here in Phoenix. I think that's all the Suns will get. I'm not saying it's enough.
Well, they'd have
but
to
I feel
throw,
like that's just something they have to settle for.
Financially, they'd have to throw in Kevon Looney, Buddy Hield. I mean, Kaminga only makes like $9 million. So, I mean, just to stack the contracts to get Kevin Durant, you would get one hell of a haul. You'd actually have to waive a couple players on the Suns, which I have some people I'd like to nominate for that. So there's no issue there. And this is where I kind of fall. Fuck you, Bradley Beal. Okay? Because we're having this conversation. We have to think about potentially trading one of the greatest shot makers of all time, because Bradley Beal won't waive the no trade clause contract. Again, I was having a conversation with a coworker today, and the conversation was about how the Kevin Durant trade is what ruined the Suns. I go, no, it was the Bradley Beal trade. I get that in Kevin Durant, you sacrificed a lot of youth and a lot of your future. But when you traded for Bradley Beal, you signed your death warrant. Because it was a no trade clause, you also gave up future, and you can't get out of it. Because right now, having Devin Booker and having Kevin Durant on a basketball court still makes sense. Like, look at tonight, 34 for Booker, 27 for Kevin Durant. It makes sense. You want to have two unbelievable shot makers, elite shot makers at the end of every game. But when you have Bradley Beal on the team for $50 million, instead of taking that $50 million and splitting it up between three really good role players who give one wing depth and size and athleticism and the youth that would have come with draft picks right there, you've sacrificed it all. So now we're forced into thinking about this conversation. And where I'm at with the Kevin Durant thing, I would hate to see Kevin Durant go, because I still think him and Booker fit together. Where Bradley Beal doesn't fit. He's duplicative. He's Devin Booker, except he doesn't have as many career points for the Phoenix Suns. But I am at the point where I have to, as a Suns fan, I have to start entertaining it. I have to start entertaining what you can get back in Kevin Durant, knowing that whatever you get back, you still have Bradley Beal on the team, and it still pisses me off, Matthew.
Yeah, because he's not going to want to go, and Butler wants to be here. But if I'm Bradley Beal, it makes sense. I don't want to go. I just moved here.
100%. I don't blame him.
I don't blame him at all.
I blame the Suns for making that stupid fucking
absolutely.
move.
Yeah, no, I don't. If I'm Beal, I'm staying. I'm okay with where I'm at. But that's what I'm saying, though. It sucks to let go of KD if we have to, but you just know it's not enough, and that's where it comes down. That's what it comes down to. You know, it's not going to be enough to win a championship, get to even maybe the second round in the playoffs.
Yeah, even get to the playoffs.
So, or win one game in the playoffs. So for that reason, I think you get what you can get, and maybe that's what they're on, where they're on the phones right now with whoever to see the best results to get
just
back
testing
for KD,
the market.
so.
Just testing the market. And I
They
see a
have
lot
to.
of conversation obviously going on, and I appreciate everybody who's watching along live, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Aussie Suns fan says Beal doesn't fit, but KD is playing for his own legacy, not for the best result of the team. I don't know what
Totally.
that means. All right, so you say totally. What does that mean?
Yeah. Well, he's just here to play, man. I
Yeah,
think.
but like he's putting up
Well, I
stats and
talked
he's
about it.
scoring.
I talked about it last podcast where I feel like Booker's almost the same way now too. Whereas it's not about legacy. It's maybe not even about a championship. It's just about playing. I
Is there
think, and
something
whatever
wrong with
happens,
that?
happens.
Is there something wrong with playing well? Because KD plays well. Like he always
Yeah, I
scores.
think it's just like that edge we don't see from these players where it's like everything matters. Like every loss fucking matters. Like if you're at the press conference, Kevin Durant at their last loss when we were at home 3 games ago, it's just joking and hanging out and having fun and laughing. But like if things matter, I feel like that shouldn't be the atmosphere. But I'm fine with it. It's just we're used to the fact that we know that Kevin Durant cares to win. He probably wants to win. But right now it's like, is it the most important thing? I don't think so. And for Booker, is it?
so how
Booker
would
knows
he
it's not.
properly display that to meet your satisfaction? That he has the edge, that he wants to win. Is it
What do you mean, like the post-game press conference?
I mean, that's what you're saying is the reason why you feel like he doesn't have the edge and doesn't necessarily want to win. He just wants to ball, right? Like
Yeah, because that's
should
just
he
the way
throw a
he
microphone or should he?
No, it's the reactions he has after the games. Like he's frustrated with losing, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think so. But I think winning a championship doesn't matter. He doesn't have to say it. He already has his legacy. He already has
True.
everything he needs, right? It's
But
maybe just about playing now. That's all
I
it is. We can
guess
see that.
I guess the challenge I have is just there's a lot of assumptions here, right? And this isn't necessarily you. This is the fan base in general. Because I think to the Yusuf Nurkic comments and how everybody freaked out, right? Like Yusuf Nurkic, and we reacted to it as well. Where Yusuf Nurkic said, like, I don't want to add to the chaos, and everyone's like, oh, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to be professional. But then when he's professional, he's just giving us professional. And it's like, dude, why don't you just tell us what you really think? So it's like, I feel for these players because they're damned if they do, they're damned if they don't. If they do give a proper reactionary statement, they're being told, like, you shouldn't do that. That's not for the betterment of the team. You're throwing someone somewhere somehow under the bus. So when they do, but when they give the political answer, they're just kind of lackadaisical in their response. At the same time, we're, oh man, you should care more, or oh man, like we need you to totally see that losing isn't the answer and show us that you're a winner and things of that nature. So it's the challenge I have is with Kevin Durant. Like, I get some of the lackadaisical nature, and I see, like Saul says in the chat, and it's not wrong. The vibe changed with KD arrived. Love KD, but things are different somehow.
Yeah.
And that's why we want Jimmy, and that's why we miss Chris Paul. It's like it's the assumption of leadership that we're currently not seeing from this team since Kevin Durant arrived. And so I definitely understand that. But if I'm talking purely X's and O's, if I'm talking about just what I see, if I take everything else away from here, right? My biases, watching post-game podcasts and post-game press conferences, and if I just watch the games, the guy's amazing. It looks like he wants to win. He's trying to score at all times. He's trying to set up his teammates at all time. The challenge I have with Kevin Durant more than anything, and I'm over attitude and effort, is ability relative to fatigue. He's old. This team's old. You see it tonight. That's why they lost to Portland. There's 10 different other reasons we could probably talk about tonight. We will, relative to rebounding and substitutions and why the fuck is Mason Plumlee playing. But this team got beat by Portland in back-to-back games because they lack athleticism. They lack the ability to defend athletes. They're not long. You couple that with laziness, and that's what you get, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. But it all comes together. It's all the same thing. I mean, if you're old and you start shitting your pants, you're just like, oh, that's the way it is, right? We understand that KD is old right now, and he's having a hard time keeping up. Tonight, the way he ended the game with about 5 minutes left was crazy. But there were 2 or 3 plays that he just couldn't finish because he's not the same Kevin Durant. And I just think that right now as a fan base, we realize that the way KD is, and Book knows this too, it's not enough, and we're just okay with it. We know there's nothing to achieve this year, and there's no real goals. It's just like game to game, whatever happens, happens. It's never about like our focus is to get this seed. Our focus is to stay out of the play-in. Like there's no real focus. There really isn't. So I don't know. It's just a strange art ever since he came here. And we're just accepting it, I think, now.
Yeah, I guess. It's acceptance, but I also feel that part of the acceptance is because I feel like the end might be near. I honestly
Oh
do.
yeah, couple days.
Kevin Durant, if you told me that we're sitting here on Thursday, because just so everybody knows, the game plan is Matthew and I going live on Wednesday after the Oklahoma City when we get butt fucked there. And then Thursday night we'll go live. I don't think we need to go live right when a trade happens. I think that you and I should go live Thursday night. We can react to any trades that happen as for the Suns and everywhere else. I wouldn't be surprised if you and I are sitting here on Thursday night having a conversation about Kevin Durant being traded. Like, I honestly, it would not shock me. Maybe it would shock me, but I wouldn't be surprised. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
And I will say, I see a lot of all right. So let's see. Hold on. Here we go. Aussie Suns fans. KD chose to ISO at the top of the key and shoot ISO threes. So let me know this, guys. How many possessions per game do you think that Kevin Durant runs isolation?
Like, is there a percentage?
There is a percentage. There's a frequency, and there's total number of possessions, because I see this time and again. It's one thing that you'll notice I don't talk about as much anymore because I feel like it's a perception thing and it's not necessarily a truism, right? So like total possessions a game, how many or frequency of possessions?
Okay, percentage? I don't know. I would say like 5 to 6% of the game that he does this, and it's only the only time I noticed it this year is when he is hot. Like tonight, when he seemed like the go-to guy, then he's gonna do this. But I don't think it's much.
So 20% from Saul, 14 from Kiko, 6% from Fumor El Oso, 20 since Jones and since 80, 5% maybe from Michael Evans, less than 10% from Prescott Mark. Would love to see what Aussie Suns fan says. He says, forget about total possessions per game. Talk to me about key moments. All right, I'll look up clutch moments here too, because I can do that too. But it's only 4.2 possessions per game. It's 17.5% of total possessions.
Wow.
So, yeah, and of
that's
course...
That's pretty high, though, isn't it? Total possessions with him or just for team?
Total possessions for him.
Team.
Total for him.
Okay.
And so again,
that's not that high.
So yeah, like I expect Kevin Durant to run isolation plays at the back end of games, just like the Portland Trailblazers did tonight. Isolation with Jeremy Grant, there was no passing on that play. Isolation with Anthony Simons, there was no passing on the plays. You're not running sets like that. You're running screens and you're attempting to isolate matchups. And I get what Buck Dog's saying. Like ISO kills flow, team energy, and when it misses, team morale. Makes the player look good, but harms the team. That's what many don't get. But what also people don't get is that's what every fucking team does at the end of every fucking game. I was going to
say every team.
Every team does it. Like, so we're not.
Right now.
We're not. 666. We're not immune to it. Like, this is basketball. No. Like, I was watching the Knicks game tonight. They were running ISO in the last 2 minutes. Great game. Isolation. Yeah. Like, that's how teams do it. You play team basketball for the first 46 minutes. In the last 2, if it's a close game, you're running isolation. And that's what, and Keith Nettles is right in the chat. Overtime was an ISO fest. Yes. Both teams. It always is.
Overtime's always ISO. And that's why we always talk about is who has the best player on the court, because it's going to come down to that. That's why the whole Luka thing.
That's why you want Kevin Durant.
Yeah. That's why you want Luka on your team. Well, you want Kevin Durant, but is he really that guy? I want to see if you are looking at the clutch stats, or maybe later for an article or something.
I'll look up clutch right now.
Okay, I don't think he's really been efficient there since he's been here. Maybe the first 9 games of the season he was, but I just haven't seen much.
All right, so Kevin Durant.
To where I'm convinced.
Kevin Durant in clutch time moments this year. Okay, now the team is 16-4 in games where he plays in clutch time moments. He's 50% from the field.
Wow.
Okay. Devin Booker, 24.1. The team's 16-7 in clutch time games for him. Devin Booker, 25% from the field. Or from 3-point land. Okay. Devin Booker, he's 24.1% from the field. Kevin Durant's a better isolation end of game guy. Like, do you guys remember that Devin Booker sucks? He fadeaway 3-pointer. What game was I at? Where the Kings fadeaway 3-pointer to win it when we needed to win. So again, I understand that people have their challenges with Kevin Durant, and it might be attitude based, but in the last 5 minutes of a game, he's fucking good. That's what you want. Because the moment you trade Kevin Durant and you got Devin Booker, we're just going to be sitting there saying the same thing about Devin Booker. He isolates too much in the clutch, man. You got to just fucking run that shit. No, it's not how it's not how it's played. It's not how the game is played.
So the Suns were 8-1, right? Start the season.
Say again?
They were 8-1 to start the season.
Yeah.
And I feel like all those games were clutch games.
And we were
like what, +3?
They were.
So
and
I think a lot
now
of it was
Kevin
that
Durant
too.
is 8-3 in 11 clutch games that he's played in sits.
Yeah.
He started 8-1, now he's 8-3. Not bad. I'll tell you what was bad tonight.
Play fast, play random, play together, play in great space. Let's go play some basketball. Have some fun.
Booed in Holzer, booed in Holzer, booed in Holzer, booed.
Mike Budenholzer, man, didn't understand this guy tonight. Didn't understand him, okay? First off, Devin Booker's cooking. He was 5 of 6 in the first half, and with 8:50 left in the first quarter, he pulls him. The guy's cooking. He's going for a record. He's like, yeah, let's pull him. And then, don't get me wrong, Nick Richards was a -16 tonight. -16. He only played 17 minutes. Mm-hmm. Not a good game. DA owned him. And I mentioned this on the last podcast. One of the challenges that I've noticed with Nick Richards is he's very poor at reading pick and roll coverage. He just gets lost. And, I mean, DA was dunking all over him last game, and it happened again in this game. Had 2 points, had 7 rebounds in this game. But all that being said, the back end of the game, when you just need rebounding, where you know he's not going to be in there to guard DA the way that you need him because they're running isolation sets, right? They're not running high pick and rolls to DA at the end of the game. No, they're running isolation sets with Anthony Simons and Jeremy Grant. You just need somebody in there to rebound. He's got Mason fucking Plumlee in there. Just a shit move. We still got Nurkic on the fucking bench. The end of game, you need... he should, though. He should.
I want to see him just call his name and see what happens.
It would be great. We need defensive rebounding at the end of the game. And Mason... We lost tonight because of fucking Budenholzer putting Mason Plumlee out there over Yusuf Nurkic or Nick Richards. I honestly believe it.
Yeah, I would love for him to call on Nurk, and Nurk just comes out with his hoodie on. Just takes nothing out.
He forgets how to take off a hoodie.
Yeah. Technical foul. That'd be a technical, right? Just throw him out. Be like, sorry, coach, I tried.
Probably.
Yeah, those rebounds too at the end. Some of them were long rebounds.
Yeah.
I'm like, those are fucking brutal. But then the last one on the missed free throw from Ayton, it was right inside. Dropped in Royce O'Neal's pocket. And he dropped
couldn't get it. And for all the faults that Yusuf Nurkic has, he's a great defensive rebounder. And Nick Richards, a great defensive rebounder.
He should just come off the bench.
He should, or just put Nick Richards out there just to grab a fucking rebound. But Budenholzer is that Wolverine meme where he's sitting there and he's holding a picture, and I don't know what it is. And it's Mason Plumlee, dude. It's Monty Williams and Elia Kobo all over again. It's like, dude, just give him a few more minutes, man. Trust me. That's what he said. It's a gut feeling. Is that what he said the other night? It's a gut feeling to leave him in there against the Clippers. It's like, no, man, you fucking love that guy.
I don't think there's a real other option, though, other than Nurk. But then Nurk doesn't want to play. But I don't know.
I get that Nick defending
He's so hit or miss, man. I can't believe that guy right now.
He was so clearly overmatched. But, dude, we would have a better chance at grabbing a rebound than the unathletic Mason Plumlee in this situation. All right, let's talk about this guy, huh? Hold on, I gotta get to the right fucking thing. Why does it not let me click over things? StreamYard's just fucked tonight. Let me click. Why does it not let me click? Maybe if I unclick this and click that, and everyone listening, sorry.
Yeah, it's like, which one is it? Maybe I can click it.
Yeah, I'm trying to go back to like 2022. I just wanted to play the Ayton drop. I want to talk about DeAndre Ayton.
Oh.
Yes. Click here. This is great. This is one of those nights. It's a late night. Your audio doesn't work right. The pods gods are against me. I'm trying to be positive, and I'm just getting more negative and negative. Fuck it. All right, Deandre Ayton watch. All right, 25-20 after he fucked us the last game. How disappointing is it to have just Deandre Ayton of all people just like bend you over and drive you to Tucson?
Well, it's fitting. You know, what we've been searching is the championship the past 3 years. We sacrificed Ayton, obviously, right? I was never the biggest fan for the last 2 years of his career here in Phoenix. I really wasn't. And there's a lot tonight that I saw that really frustrated with his play.
Because we didn't have it when he was here consistently, right?
Yeah, it's like this weird thing where he's just lost in the court still, man. There's just, you know, he had the 25-19 tonight. I'm sorry, was it
25-20?
25-20?
Yeah.
But, you know, it could be like 35-25. You know what I mean? It's just like there's something that he's just missing there. But you know what? I don't even want to get into that because what the Suns are on right now, they're going down a dirty.
Well, I'll say this. And Easy on Twitter says this. It's Ayton. Always Ayton. He was the missing link, and we just gave him away. Incorrect. And people need to remember this. We didn't just give Deandre Ayton away. He didn't want to be here. He was done here. Everybody acts like the DA drama that occurred was one-sided. But DA had it with this team. He quit on this team. That's why he didn't want to be here.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Remember him and Monty weren't even talking, all that shit. You know, him and Booker, him and CP3, the way that they all acted. He quit on this team.
What do you think it really was, though? You think it was just the attitude of Booker, just like the win now shit? And he's just like, chill, we'll be okay.
I think it was his teammates trying to hold him accountable, his coach trying to hold him accountable, and he just didn't want to hear that. You know, he was the guy who always had the lackadaisical effort, you know, and so Buck Dog. And why didn't he want to be here, John? Because the team that he was on, he wanted to be more. He wanted to be more involved. He wanted to be the guy, and he wasn't the guy. And we should talk about this all the time. I think he did it for a time.
Really?
Yeah. During the finals run, he had a great run, and that's what everyone talks about, that amazing final run and how great and locked in he was because we needed him to be, and he stepped up, and then kudos to him for doing that. But afterwards, the next season we go out and we score 64 wins, and he's not a major part of the offense. We used to talk about this all the time. This was a guard-centric offense that wasn't beneficial to him. And at the end of the day, that's going to hit the number one overall pick's ego in some capacity. You couple that with Chris Paul yelling at him and Devin Booker giving him shit, and he probably felt like the young guy on the team where these old heads are just giving him shit. He had his relationship with Monty Williams spoils, and then there's infamous clips of him just standing there watching rebounds happen, and there was no effort there. And so revisionist history is for people to go back and remember all the good things and not remember the bad things. And the bad things were night after night, Deandre Ayton, the number one overall pick, who is a maximum center, because that's what it came down to in that last year. I was fine with Ayton being lackadaisical when he was on a rookie contract because he was getting paid a rookie contract. But once we gave him that max contract money and gave him what he wanted, and the Suns, to their, you know, even them said, hey, go out on the open market and see what you're worth. And one team offered him something, the Pacers. And it took quite some time for them to offer him something. And I'll never forget when I got the notification that Deandre Ayton got offered a max contract by Indiana, because I was literally holding my father's casket as we were burying it. My phone goes off. We put it down, everything. I check real quick, and there it is. And then moments later, the Suns offer him the maximum contract, and they instantly start trying to find where they can trade him, because they didn't want him here, and he didn't want to be here. It was mutual. So we can't sit there and go, oh, the Suns just gave him away for nothing. If that's your perspective, that's great. That's not my perspective watching this team at night in, night out. DA was disengaged, man. He was disengaged that entire last year.
Yeah, and I think he has been until his last 7 or 8 games. Like, he hasn't been any different. The last 8 games, something happened. And there was a time where the Portland Trailblazers
he's on one of those heaters right now, right?
Yeah, but those podcasts that were coming after him, they were sick of him, right? Those were going viral. So maybe that was something that kind of pushed him. Who knows? But something happened. But he's still not, I don't believe in it. I can't even believe in it. And I think Sal Soto's really funny right here. He says, and now the Suns have the DA attitude. Alexa Daisical and half-assing.
Amen. He would love this team.
This would be perfect for
he'd
him.
blend-
We
he'd
should all
blend
just
right
smoke
into
weed
it.
and watch the Suns and hang out.
We should.
Not even care.
He'd blend right into this team. But, DA used to do this when he was on the Suns, too. He'd put together 2 amazing weeks, and we're like, oh, shit, there it is. There's the potential. But to your point, literally like 3 weeks ago, Blazers fans were making videos talking about the same shit that we had problems with DA, right? Not going into contact, fading away. He didn't have any of those issues against the Suns over these last 2 games in which we saw, because we are shitty at the center position. And Nick Richards, who was our hope to be somebody who could be at least Kirkland version of DA, did not perform up to expectations in any capacity.
Not at all.
Mason Plumlee, no. I would have liked to see Nurk out there to just try to body him up a little bit, because what did DA always shy away from? Physicality. And yeah, Easy's right. He's a walking double-double, right? 12 points, 10 rebounds. So.
Yeah, and
Would you rather have
might.
Ayton or Nurk? Absolutely, I'd rather have Ayton over Nurk, but we didn't get just Nurk in that deal. We got Grayson Allen, we got Nasir Little, we got Keldon Johnson, and 2 of those guys aren't on the team anymore. But guess what? We'll, at some point, and it might be the next couple days, we're going to flip either Nurk and or Grayson Allen. And that's going to bring in more value than I feel like DA as a singular player would bring in.
Yeah, and plus Ayton was just too much money.
It was too much money and
For
not
what he
noch
brought.
bang for the buck.
But I
and
wish him all the
attitude.
best.
I do
really
too. It was
great.
great. Again, it was
it's
great
to
seeing
see
him.
if he has any success, but
It's great seeing him playing like that, because I always
Everyone
wanted him to
will.
play like that, man. Like, I thought he's always had the physical abilities. It's been the mental capacity to execute said physical abilities that we always had a
but
challenge
he
with.
still looks like he sucks. I'm just saying, dude. He does not know what the fuck. In those fadeaway jumpers,
Yeah,
all those jumpers he can kiss my ass.
I'll
There's
tell you,
no
I like
spin
the.
moves, nothing.
I missed the
can't
jumper, though.
stand
Well,
watching that dude.
It sucks because I missed the jumper because it was money. Remember when Mari Stoudemire started having a jumper? All of a sudden, you're like, holy shit, dude, this guy's got some game, because he could always dunk. One
Yeah,
thing
but then he would
DA
pump
doesn't-
fake and get to the rim and dunk.
Yeah, exactly. But he had all that in his game. Whereas DA, the jumper looked great today. But you know what looked great about it? The fact that he was wide open. And that's a testament to the Suns sucking ass on defense. They left DA open they left everybody open all fucking weekend long. All right, I got to do subreddit.
The Suns Jam Session Subreddit Stakeout.
I was in Portland tonight, Matthew, trying to blend in, and it was pretty easy because everyone there is weird. And here are some of the quotes from the Portland Trailblazers subreddit while I was there on the subreddit stakeout. Bink, bink. Are we the greatest team ever? This is a great one of the main reasons I miss Tamani Kamara, that we didn't get a chance to see him play for us, is the fucking nicknames are great. Oh, he's hit Tumani threes, man. And here's a good one. Tumanji.
Tumanji.
Yeah.
And he looks like a real NBA player.
Yes.
He's a stud, man. We have Ryan Dunn, but he's also another Kirkland version of Kamara.
Yeah. And
He
I honestly
definitely is.
believe that if we kept Kamara, we wouldn't have drafted Ryan Dunn. We wouldn't have went for something else.
Messi.
Yeah, well, they were a
He's
pick ahead of
killing it.
us.
Yeah,
They were
whatever.
one pick ahead of. I would have loved that.
I don't remember
He's
anything.
Missy. Suns playing like they spent the weekend at some vegan strip clubs.
Vegan.
Vegan strip clubs. Like, this Suns team looks so bad. Kevin Durant can make nearly every shot, but everyone else looks so incompetent out there, especially defensively. Who's he talking about here? I think this is Mike Budenholzer. He looks like a dude Skylar White would sleep with, which I think is funny.
Skylar White.
Breaking Bad.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Mike Budenholzer's turned
He does.
into the crazy scientist from a comet disaster movie that nobody believes.
He just looks like Beetlejuice to me.
That's kind of on the same lines. Grayson Allen is a bitch. I'd like Grayson Allen a lot better if he was Peyton Pritchard. Booker bitching. What else is new? B3. Baby bitchin' Booker. Get his pacifier. Who is Dick Richards? And then there's a lot of fouls being called, which was dumb. It was funny seeing the Portland fans like bitch about fouls because they had no fouls in the fourth quarter and they were still bitching about fouls. Knew it. I can see Adam Silver's slimy ass fucking hands all over this game. When are the Suns gonna sub in Chris Pontius? That's a Ryan Dunn joke.
Yeah.
And this is probably my favorite one. I wonder which strip clubs KD hit while in town. And that's Subreddit Stakeout.
The Suns Jam Session Subreddit Stakeout.
All right. Let's see. Is there anything else I had in my notes? Is there anything else you had in your notes, Matthew? What?
Let me take a look. Nah, nothing.
Big Rod Royce O'Neal hit a big three that put us in overtime. We don't even get to barely talk about it. Bradley Beal, hot start. We saw a Durant to Beal alley-oop, which I don't think we've ever seen in this game.
Second alley-oop of the year.
Yeah, and big block to end regulation. So Bradley Beal looking good. It just, again, I personally feel for the guy. I wish him and his family well, and I know how hard it has to be, and I can't blame him again. I can't blame him for the no trade clause. I blame the Phoenix Suns. So anyone who's anti-Beal, I understand why. You have to blame the Suns, and I think that in every article I've written about the Bradley Beal situation, I express my frustration with the situation the Suns find them in, and I blame the Suns for the situation that they're in.
Oh, absolutely. Beal, go out there and get it, man. You're good.
Yeah.
This is just a carefree season.
Yeah.
For the next 2 years, just go out there and put up some stats.
Jam star of the game.
Don't know if I need to ask this, but I'll ask you. Who's the jam star of the game?
It's got to be Booker.
That's right. That is correct, Matthew. You win a prize. All right. Next up for the Suns. Yikes. We play the fucking Oklahoma City Thunder in Oklahoma City. How much do we lose by, Matthew?
Oh, so I think a trade happens before the game. So it's going to be probably one of those Mavericks losses after the Doncic one, where just people aren't playing. So probably be about 40 points. That's my guess.
Yeah, I mean it's the day before the trade deadline, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah, so I say the Suns lose by 23. That's my prediction. That's what I'm going.
Is there like a trade you can see that might happen? That
Nurkic,
like no one else is.
I feel like Nurkic is going to be gone in some capacity. I think the Suns Yusuf Nurkic.
Okay.
So I feel like the Suns got those 3 first-round picks and opened up all their next 6 first-round picks. And they didn't do it necessarily to draft, obviously. They needed more draft capital to get off the Nurk deal. So there's going to be somewhere and somebody out there who's going to be like, listen, we'll take Nurk off your hands. And Nurk does become somewhat appealing because he's expiring next year. So the Suns are going to trade him somewhere. They're going to attach probably 2 first-round picks to it. Like, that's what's going to take us to get off that shitty deal just to get him out of the locker room. And that's the deal. I don't know who it is. I couldn't tell you what it is. But this is going to be on the fringe. The Suns are going to make probably a couple transactions. Grayson Allen might go too. I feel like Nurk and Grayson Allen, again, as I mentioned, the 2 guys who came over in the DA trade, we're going to see what we get from them. And then we can finally have some understanding of how the depths of that DA trade. Because, like it or not, DA, although he went for 25 and 20 against us tonight, is still on a shitty team. And we're a team that's trying to contend. And if we can take 2 assets that we got for DA and turn them into a couple more assets that can ultimately help this team, you do it. What do you think?
So Gambo did say something about like there's something that short term, long term that's in the works, right? So I'm trying to think who that would be. Is it something like Lonzo or something? I have no. I think it's gonna be something out of right field. But then I'm thinking though, outside the Suns, I feel like a Giannis trade might still happen. I
That'd
feel
be
like the Thunder can
unbelievable.
go grab him.
Oh, outside the Suns, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Thunder, I don't know. Like both the Thunder and the Rockets, I both feel like those are teams that might make a little deal here or there, but they're not going to make any big splash. They're at the top of the Western Conference.
Giannis, though?
I can, but why?
It's over.
But you're the number one team. No, it's not.
But it's not for sure, though.
But you're the number one team
physicality.
in the West. Yeah, but they also have Hartenstein, who just came back. Chet's been injured and hasn't been around, although he's not physical. But
that's why I get rid of him now.
Yeah,
just get rid of him. Get Giannis. Give away your picks.
I could see Giannis going to Miami versus OKC because he's going to have to go to somebody who feels like that's the move that's going to make them relevant again. Whereas OKC and Houston are both young teams that are like they're doing what the Suns should have done in 2023/24. They shouldn't have gotten rid of DA. They shouldn't have got a CP3, and they should have said, you know what, we're going to try this for one season. Because when we did this for 8 games and the playoffs, the only team that could beat us was the team that went on was the Nuggets in their prime. We should give this one more year and see what it is. And I feel like
Giannis. You get him right now.
Yeah, I don't think
Oh, really?
Nah.
If you're the Thunder, you want to go get Giannis?
No. Well, because you're gonna have to give up a lot for it. No one on their team's making max deal. I get it, but like we should know more than any other team what chemistry means. And both those teams are humming with organic chemistry. And if they go get Giannis, they're doing exactly what the Suns did by giving up and getting Kevin.
But we got KD in the back end. Giannis still has about 3 or 4 prime years.
We got KD when he was like 33.
Yeah, but we knew he was in the back end, though.
Yeah,
right?
Well, Giannis is what, 29?
Yeah, he's still young enough. I'm just saying, if I'm the Thunder, it's not a for sure thing you're going to win the title. Because they got bounced by the Mavericks. Now they have to face Luka with the Lakers and LeBron. And I'm sure they'll get a center there. So I'm just like, let's just go do it. While Chet has value. And
Chet doesn't have value, though. He's on a rookie deal and he's injured.
Yeah, but he can come back. He could be the future. If he keeps getting injured, then he has no value. Right now, it's like his second injury.
Yeah, in his third year. I mean, he's played one season. That's too much of a risk. I think a Miami deal, I would see that more than I would see a Giannis to OKC, maybe even the Thunder before OKC. I just think that with all the picks that they have and everything that they've worked towards, they're comfortable where they're at. And that's just my 2 cents. I want to hear what your thoughts are on the Luka trade before we get out of here and De'Aaron Fox.
Oh, De'Aaron Fox, I think that's amazing. I think
I'm so pissed the Spurs got him.
It's unfortunate too because they didn't give up any young dudes. They gave up nothing, and they got Fox back. They can try that out. Doesn't work, they can trade him. They have their guard, the future, all the young dudes. They still have Wemby, so that's another team that might jump the Suns in the standings. I feel like
the potential's there. Fox
it's
the
gonna
Spurs.
Happen. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. And
Fox the Spurs makes me so mad.
Yeah, the whole thing with Luka, it sucks he's a Laker. It's better for the NBA. I feel like my first thought was like, Silver's like, we have to do something. And then in the boardroom, they're like, Luka to Lakers. That's how we get everyone back in their seats watching the NBA in the finals. And if he's going to be in and out of the finals for the next 6 years, you have to have him on the Lakers. But also,
rigged.
The Mavericks might just be sick of him. Maybe the GM is just sick of him, and he's all.
That's what it sounds like.
AD. Yeah,
that's what it sounds like.
And honestly, I don't blame him. But you don't trade Luka. But I would, if he's a piece of shit and he's going to be injured all the time. Get rid of him.
Well, he's injured. He's not injured all the time. That's the funny thing to me. Oh well, King Nacho, I see you in the chat. Beal must go. No shit, dude. Like. How many people, like, I see King Nacho goes in everybody's podcast and says, how many people argue against you? Like, that's just your thing. You go, Bill must go. No shit. But he's not going to. He's got a no trade clause. So just fucking, you need a new shtick, bro.
You think that Luka thing, though, really quick, in like the next few weeks, maybe the next year, it'll turn around and be like, hey, you made the right decision? What are the chances?
Who made the right decision? The Mavericks?
The GM, Nico.
No.
No,
No,
like
just
something
because
won't come out where it's like, oh, this is why they did it.
something's
Luka's
stuff's
drunk?
already coming out. It's already coming out.
Okay.
They're not happy with how he fit to the culture. He was kind of a diva.
Yeah,
that
but
he
I mean
likes to
behind
drink.
like stories, like
I'm sure they're.
about,
I'm sure some
Luke was doing that.
Yeah, I'm sure some stories will
Yeah.
come out, but like I look at it like
Yeah.
this: like, is he a diva? Yes. Does he like to booze? Probably. Right? Is he still a perennial All NBA guy who can win MVPs and just made a Finals appearance? Absolutely. So
Yeah.
whatever his side shit is, the way he performs on the court is MVP level type shit. And he's going to be a part of your organization for the next 10 years. And so your response is like, well, we'll get Anthony Davis because why? We have Derek Lively, like, who's already made of glass himself.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I don't understand.
That's why it's Adam Silver. That's why the
I
NBA
agree.
forced this.
My first thing was, and it's funny because that day, or was that Saturday? So Friday, I was having a conversation with a coworker, and he's like, "Voida, do you really think the NBA is rigged?" I'm like, "Absolutely."
Yeah.
I'm like the draft's rigged. I'm like, these big deals. I'm like, trust me. I'm like, LA has to be relevant. Something will happen there, and then what happens? They get Luka fucking Doncic. So unbelievable that everybody thought that everything that Shams Charania was hacked. There's no way. One pick. They gave up one pick. The Lakers gave up one pick. A 2029 first, which ain't going to mean shit because they're going to be good.
Yep, and the GM has to go out there and he has to just tell the story about culture.
Yeah.
Having, defense.
Did you see Jason Kidd's face?
Jason Kidd's just sitting there like...
he wants to kill himself.
Yeah,
he's like, you just traded Luka Doncic.
It just made absolutely no sense.
They didn't have a say, but you know what? There's going to get some like I'd love to see the Dallas Mavericks books because they're going to get like this bump in revenue that is like no one can explain. It's like the $1 billion that they sent over to Ukraine, but nobody can find it. It's like it ended up in Dallas. The NBA, like, oh, oops, because they're thanks for doing your part and helping the league become somewhat relevant again. Because everybody's talking about it, man. Everybody's talking about it. Yeah. So
right.
Dana Scott, Stern didn't want Chris Paul and the Lakers and vetoed that trade for lack of parity in the league. Now his ratings are down. Adam Silver has to thank the basketball gods as Luka are the Lakers. Yeah, that's right where we're at. That's right where we're at.
Mm-hmm.
All right, it's midnight. We got to go to bed.
Yeah.
All
Good
right.
night, everybody.
Good night. We'll see you Wednesday after another Suns loss. Tell them what to do, Matthew.
Go home, love your family.
Hey, you're listening to the Suns Jam Session podcast, shooting the shit about the Suns since 2019.